Hey guys, tonight we're stepping into the cold, damp shadows of the Middle Ages, a world where science was a fledgling whisper and superstition was a roaring fire. Imagine you're standing in a drafty, stone room, the air thick with the smell of old parchment, wax, and something you can't quite place a faint, sour scent that clings to the fog rolling in from the harbour. You're not a knight in shining armour or a robed scholar. You are a priest, recently given a new and terrible calling, an exorcist. Your robes are a bit too new, your face a bit too pale, and your hands are clammy with a mix of dread and what you're trying to convince yourself is holy purpose. This is the world as it was, a chaotic, vibrant, and utterly terrifying place. Now, I have to give you a quick reality check in this job. You probably wouldn't make it. The hygiene, the medicine, the general vibe, not great. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know where you're watching from and what time it is for you. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your journey as an exorcist, or more formally, a cleric granted the minor order of exorcist, begins not with a flash of light or a chorus of angels, but with a piece of sealed parchment, is delivered to you at your small, quiet parish, where you've spent your days helping the sick and listening to the confessions of the villagers. The paper is heavy with the seal of the bishop, and the message is brief and to the point, a summons, a desperate plea for help from a secluded monastery deep in the countryside. A brother of their order is suffering from what they believe is demonic possession, and you are the closest priest with the authority to deal with it. You read the words again, your heart a drum against your ribs, demonic possession. It's a concept you've studied in dusty Latin tomes, a terrifying theological problem, but it has never been a reality. You've heard the stories, of course, of men and women speaking in ancient tongues, of bodies twisting into impossible shapes, of the air growing cold with an unseen presence. But these were tales, fables for the common folk. Now, they are your new reality. You are about to step into the world of nightmares, and your only weapons are a book, some water, and your faith. It's a terrifying thought, and for a moment, you consider running, but you remember your vows, the solemn promise you made to serve God and his people, and you know you have no choice. A little known fact about these times is that exorcism was a very formal and bureaucratic process. It wasn't just any priest who could perform the rite. A priest had to have specific authorization from his bishop, and the bishop, in turn, had to follow a strict set of rules and guidelines. This was to prevent charlatans and the overzealous from performing the rite, and to ensure that only a true case of demonic possession was being treated. This bureaucracy, while tedious, was also a sort of a shield. It was a way for the church to control a terrifying and unpredictable phenomenon. But you, standing in your small parish, with the bishop's seal in your hand, don't feel protected. You feel a profound bone-deep dread. The journey to the monastery is long and arduous. You travel on foot, your worn leather boots kicking up dust on the road. The sun beats down on you during the day, and the nights are cold and unforgiving. Your only companion is a young acolyte, a boy named Thomas, who is as terrified as you are. He chatters nervously about the stories he's heard, about the demons who can possess a man, about the way they can twist a soul. You try to reassure him, to tell him that these are just stories, that it's probably just a case of mental illness or a physical ailment. But you don't believe your own words. The letter was too specific, too urgent. As you walk, you find yourself thinking about the nature of your calling. You were trained to be a spiritual doctor, a man who heals the soul through confession and prayer. But now you are a soldier, a spiritual warrior who is being sent to battle an enemy you can't see. an enemy who can whisper lies in your ear and turn your deepest fears against you. The thought makes you sick to your stomach. You look at your hands, which are meant to hold the Eucharist, and you wonder if they are strong enough to hold back a demon. A few days into your journey, you hear a story that sends a chill down your spine. You're resting at a small inn, and you overhear two travelling merchants talking. They are talking about a man who was touched by the devil, a man who could speak in a voice that was not his own, a man who could twist his body into unnatural shapes. They say that he was a good man before, a devout man, but now he is a vessel for something else. You listen, your blood running cold, and you realise that they are talking about your case. The stories you dismissed as fables are real. Historians still debate whether these accounts of demonic possession were genuine, or if they were simply a misunderstanding of mental and physical illnesses like epilepsy, schizophrenia, or Tourette's syndrome. In a world without our modern understanding of medicine, people used the only framework they had, religion. Any strange or bizarre behaviour was seen as a sign of spiritual influence, either from God or from the devil. What is undeniable is that for you, a medieval exorcist, these afflictions were very real, and they were very, very terrifying. You are about to face a world of suffering that has no name, no diagnosis, and no cure. You arrive at the monastery late in the evening. The air grows cold as you approach the heavy wooden gates, and the monastery itself is a grim, grey shape against the twilight sky. The stones of the abbey look like bones, and the windows are dark, like empty eye sockets. A brother, his face a mask of exhaustion and fear, greets you at the gate. He doesn't say a word, just points you toward a small, isolated building in the back of the monastery, a place set apart from the rest. The air around the building feels thick, heavy, and cold, and you can hear a faint, low moaning coming from inside. It is not the sound of a sick man. It is the sound of a tormented soul. This is your first case. This is your life now, and you know, with a grim certainty, that it's going to be a miserable one. The monastery is a grim, grey shape against the twilight sky, its stones cold with a history of suffering. As you follow the exhausted brother, the faint, low moaning you heard from a distance becomes clearer. It's a sound that doesn't feel like it should be coming from a human throat, a guttural, inhuman groan that makes the hairs on your arm stand on end. You are led to a small, isolated building in the back of the monastery, a place set apart from the rest, as if the other monks are trying to physically distance themselves from the darkness within. The air around the building feels thick and cold, and the smell of old stone and damp earth is tinged with a sour, acrid odour that makes you wrinkle your nose. The brother unlocks the heavy wooden door, and you step into a small, windowless room. The light from his lantern casts long, dancing shadows on the walls, making the room seem to shift and breathe. In the centre of the room, on a simple straw pallet, lies the possessed man. He is a brother of the order, a man who, you are told, was once a kind and gentle soul, known for his devotion and his beautiful singing voice. But the man on the pallet is not the man they describe. He is lying on his back, his body twisted into a grotesque, unnatural shape. His limbs are contorted, his head is thrown back, and his eyes are wide and staring, their whites bloodshot and his pupils dilated. His face is a mask of pure terror, his skin pale and clammy. He is not just moaning, he is muttering, a low, constant stream of gibberish that sounds like a garbled version of Latin, mixed with sounds that are utterly alien. The sound is not just unsettling, it's a physical assault, a constant drone that makes your head pound. You are told that his name is Brother Elias. He has been like this for 3 days. They have tried everything: prayers, fasts, holy water, but nothing has had any effect. The other monks are terrified. They believe a demon has taken hold of him, a punishment for some unknown sin. You look at Brother Elias, and you can see the conflict in his eyes. He is a man trapped in his own body, a prisoner in his own flesh. You can see the flicker of a soul in there, a tiny spark of light that is trying to fight its way out of the darkness. A little known fact about medieval exorcisms is that the first step was not to immediately start the rite. The exorcist was required to spend a significant amount of time observing the possessed person. This was to rule out other possible causes for their behaviour, such as mental illness, physical ailments, or simply a case of fraud. The church was very cautious about performing the rite, knowing that it was a dangerous and unpredictable process. The exorcist was trained to look for specific signs of demonic possession, such as the ability to speak in ancient tongues, unnatural strength, or a profound aversion to sacred objects. You stand there for a long time, watching Brother Elias, your mind racing, trying to discern if this is a true case of possession or something else entirely. You talk to the other monks, asking them about Brother Elias's past, about his behaviour before he became ill. They tell you he was a good man, a pious man, but that he had been struggling with a deep sense of despair. He had lost a brother to the plague just a few months before, and he had been unable to find comfort in his faith. You listen, your mind connecting the dots. Grief, despair, these are fertile ground for a demon, a crack in the soul that a malevolent spirit can slip through. The demon, you realise, is not just possessing a body, it is preying on a wound in the soul. The weight of your new calling settles on your shoulders. You are not just a priest, you are a spiritual detective. You must gather the clues, discern the truth from the lies, and find a way to reach the man beneath the possession. It's a terrifying and lonely task. The other monks are looking at you, their eyes filled with a desperate hope. They believe you are their saviour, the man who can banish the darkness and bring their brother back to the light. But you, standing in the cold, damp room, feel a profound sense of isolation. You are alone in this fight. You spend the rest of the night in a small cell, praying and studying the ritual of exorcism. The book you carry, the Rituale Romanum, is a heavy leather-bound tome filled with Latin prayers and intricate instructions. You read about the various stages of the rite, about the importance of holy water and the power of the cross. You read about the dangers, about the way a demon can turn your own fears against you. The text is dense and technical, a spiritual field manual, but it offers you a strange sort of comfort. It is a set of rules, a clear path through a world of utter chaos. Historians still debate the effectiveness of these rituals. Were they simply a placebo for a mind in turmoil, or did they truly have a spiritual effect? What is undeniable is that for the exorcists of the Middle Ages, the ritual was a vital part of their work. It was a way for them to focus their faith, to draw a line in the sand against the darkness. It was a weapon, and it was a shield. But you, sitting in your cold cell, with the faint sounds of a tormented man echoing through the walls, feel a profound sense of inadequacy. You are just a man, a simple priest, and you are about to go to war against a force that has no physical form. It's a terrifying thought, and you can't help but wonder if you have what it takes. The morning light, pale and weak, finally filters through the high, narrow windows of the monastery, but it does little to dispel the gloom. You've spent the night in prayer and study, the Rituale Romanum a heavy, comforting weight in your hands, but comfort is a fleeting luxury. The faint sounds of Brother Elias's torment have been a constant backdrop to your vigil, a relentless reminder of the task that awaits you. Now, with the sun rising, it's time to prepare. You return to the isolated room where Brother Elias is kept, accompanied by a handful of brave, but visibly shaken, monks. They are here not just to assist, but to witness. The Church requires witnesses to an exorcism, both to prevent accusations of fraud and to act as a check on the exorcist himself. A reminder that this is not a solitary endeavour but a communal one. You are, in a sense, a public servant. and your actions are being watched. Your first task is to meticulously prepare your tools, your bizarre arsenal for a spiritual war. You have a small leather satchel that holds your most sacred items. You take them out, one by one, laying them on a small wooden table with a trembling reverence. First, there is the stole, a long strip of cloth embroidered with crosses. It is a symbol of your priestly office, a reminder of the authority you hold from God. You drape it over your shoulders, feeling its weight. A strange combination of a comforting blanket and a heavy burden. Next, you take out a small vial of holy water. It is just water, blessed by a priest, but you believe it is more than that. It is a physical representation of the grace of God, a substance that can burn a demon like acid. You dip your fingers in the vial, and the water feels cool and clean. It is a stark contrast to the thick, foul air in the room, a small island of purity in a sea of corruption. Then there is the crucifix, a simple wooden cross with the figure of Christ on it. This is your most important weapon, the ultimate symbol of God's power and his triumph over evil. You hold it in your hand, and you can feel its smooth, worn surface. It is not just a piece of wood, it is a shield, a sword, and a promise. You hold it up to Brother Elias, and you see his eyes, still wide and staring, flinch, a tiny, almost imperceptible flinch. But it's there, a sign, a small victory. You also have a small container of blessed salt and incense. The salt, a common medieval belief, was thought to purify and ward off evil spirits. You sprinkle a small amount of it around the room, feeling a profound sense of performing an ancient ritual, a ritual that has been passed down for centuries. The incense, when lit, fills the room with a sweet, pungent smoke that you hope will cleanse the air, a physical manifestation of your prayers. A little-known fact is that medieval exorcists also used a wide variety of what we would consider very bizarre, and often ineffective, remedies. They would use a mixture of herbs, sometimes with a dash of holy water, to create a sort of poultice that they would place on the possessed person's body. These herbs were often chosen for their strong smell, as it was still believed that the evil was connected to the miasma, or bad air. You have a small pouch of these herbs in your satchel, and you take them out, your nose wrinkling at their strange, earthy scent. You know they are probably useless, but you also know that in this work, you must use every tool at your disposal, no matter how small. You also bring out your prayer book, the Rituale Romanum. It is a heavy leather-bound tome filled with Latin prayers, some of which you know by heart. This book is not just a guide, it is your script. The exorcism is a choreographed ritual, a dance between you and the demon, and the book is your partner. It tells you what to say, when to say it, and what to do. It is a comfort, a familiar voice in a world of chaos. As you prepare, you find yourself grappling with the unsettling reality of your dangerous work. You are about to engage in a spiritual battle, a battle for a man's soul. The demon, you have been taught, is a master of deceit, a liar who can twist your words, use your doubts against you, and turn your deepest fears into weapons. It will test your faith, your resolve, and your very sanity. You are not a knight in shining armour, a hero in a tale. You are a man, a frail mortal man, and you are about to walk into a fight that you are not sure you can win. Historians still debate whether these rituals were a true spiritual combat or a form of psychological therapy. In a world without our modern understanding of medicine, the rituals provided a sense of order and control in a chaotic world. They gave the possessed person a framework for their suffering, a way to understand what was happening to them, and they gave the exorcist a sense of purpose. But for you, standing in the cold, damp room, with the moaning of a tormented man in the background, This is not a psychological exercise. This is real. This is a battle for a soul. With your tools prepared and your resolve hardened, you finally stand before Brother Elias. The air in the small, stone room is heavy with tension, a palpable force that seems to press down on your chest. The small group of monks who came with you stand in the back, their faces pale with a mixture of fear and awe. You are the only one standing between them and the unseen entity that has taken hold of their brother. You begin the rite with the sign of the cross and a simple prayer. Your voice, at first, is a bit shaky, but as you continue, it finds its strength, a quiet, determined resonance. You hold up the crucifix, its polished wood gleaming in the dim light. Behold the cross of the Lord, you say, your voice ringing with authority. Flee, you hostile powers the line of the tribe of Judah has conquered. A sound, a low hissing laugh, erupts from Brother Elias's throat. His body convulses, and he thrashes against the ropes that bind him to the pallet. His head lolls from side to side, and he begins to speak. But the voice is not his own. It's a deep, gravelly sound, full of malice and a profound ancient hatred. It's a sound that doesn't seem to belong in this world, and it makes your blood run cold. You are just a man, the voice hisses. A tiny, insignificant man. Do you think a piece of wood and a few words can harm me? You ignore the taunts. This is a crucial part of the rite. The interrogation. You must learn the demon's name. A demon's name, you were taught, is a key to its power, a way to bind it and force it to obey. You begin to question it, using the Latin phrases from the Ritual Romanum. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, I command you, tell me your name. The demon laughs, a chilling sound that echoes off the stone walls. It taunts you, calls you by a variety of humiliating names. It tells you that your faith is a lie, that God has abandoned this world, that you are a fool to believe in a power that has no meaning. The words are not just insults, they are a psychological assault, a deliberate attempt to break your will and to instill doubt in your heart. You feel a pang of fear, a tiny cold tendril of doubt that tries to creep into your mind. A little known fact is that during these interrogations, demons were believed to use a variety of clever tricks to mislead the exorcist. They would give false names, tell intricate lies about their origins, and even feign weakness or pain to gain a tactical advantage. The exorcist had to be a master of discernment, a spiritual detective who could see through the layers of deceit and find the truth. It was a harrowing and exhausting process, a battle of wits that could last for hours, or even days. You continue to question the demon, your voice growing hoarse from the effort. You demand to know its name, its purpose, why it has chosen to torment this man. The demon responds with a torrent of lies and blasphemies. It tells you that Brother Elias was a secret sinner, that he deserved this torment, that his soul was already damned. It tells you that it is not just one demon, but a legion, a horde of malevolent spirits that have taken hold of his soul. You listen, your mind racing, trying to separate the truth from the lies. The demon's voice changes, a sudden, terrifying shift. It starts to speak in a language you don't recognize, a series of guttural clicks and hisses that sound like a garbled version of Latin. You are struck with a sudden, bone-deep fear. This is one of the signs you were taught to look for, the ability to speak in an unknown tongue. It's a terrifying, but also confirming detail. This is not a man suffering from an illness. This is something else entirely. Historians still debate the authenticity of these unknown tongues. Were they a genuine sign of demonic possession, or were they simply a form of glossolalia, a religious phenomenon where a person speaks in a language they don't know? What is undeniable is that for you, a medieval exorcist, this was a terrifying and confirming detail. It was a sign that you were not fighting a physical ailment, but a spiritual one. You were fighting a demon, a being of pure malice, and your only weapon was your faith. The demon's lies intensify. It tells you that it is not afraid of your God, that it has already seen the face of God and found it wanting. It tells you that it is stronger than you, that it can and will destroy you. You feel a moment of profound doubt, a terrifying moment where you wonder if you have made a terrible mistake, if you have bitten off more than you can chew. But you remember your vows, the solemn promise you made to serve God, and you find a new reserve of strength. You will not be defeated. You will not give up. This is a miserable job. You know that now. But it is also a necessary one. You are fighting for a man's soul, and that is a battle worth fighting. You splash the holy water on Brother Elias's face, and he cries out, a high, piercing shriek that is not his own. The water sizzles on his skin, and you can see a faint wisp of smoke rise from his forehead. It is a small victory, a tiny sign that you are on the right path, but you know that the battle is just beginning. The demon is not defeated, it is just angry. The real fight, the long, grueling, and utterly miserable fight has just begun. The initial clash with the demon in Brother Elias's body was just that, a clash, a single, sharp exchange of words and will. Now, the real ordeal begins. You've established that this is a true case of possession, but that knowledge provides no comfort. In fact, it makes the task ahead feel heavier, more daunting. The demon, knowing it's been identified, drops its feigned weakness and begins to fight back in earnest. You are no longer just asking questions. You are engaged in a harrowing spiritual combat, a battle for a soul. The demon's attacks are not physical. They are far more insidious. It's a relentless assault on your mind and spirit. As you continue the prayers and commands from the Rituale Romanum, the demon responds with a torrent of terrifying psychological warfare. It whispers in your ear, a voice only you can hear, telling you secrets about yourself that you thought were buried deep inside. It reminds you of your past sins, your moments of doubt, your unfulfilled promises. It twists your memories, making you question your own righteousness and worthiness to perform this rite. A cold sweat breaks out on your brow, not from the heat of the room, but from the chilling accuracy of the demon's whispers. The room itself seems to respond to the demon's will. The air grows impossibly cold, and a strange, sulphurous smell fills the space. The candle flames flicker wildly, threatening to go out. The wooden crucifix in your hand feels heavy, as if some unseen force is trying to pull it from your grasp. You look at Brother Elias, and his face contorts into a terrifying mask of malice. He begins to mock your prayers, his voice a grotesque parody of your own. He laughs when you mention God's mercy and scoffs at the power of the saints. He knows your vulnerabilities, and he is exploiting them with a chilling precision. A little-known fact about these rituals is the immense physical and mental toll they took on the exorcist. It wasn't uncommon for priests to emerge from a long exorcism bruised, battered, and utterly exhausted. The battle with the demon was a long, drawn-out affair, a war of attrition. You can feel your own strength waning. Your throat is raw from chanting, your head pounds with a dull, persistent ache, and your hands, clutching the crucifix, are trembling with fatigue. The demon, on the other hand, seems to have an endless supply of energy. It is fueled by your fear and your doubt. This is where the true test of faith comes in. You were trained for this. You remember your vows, the solemn promise you made to serve God and to fight for his people. You remember the words of your mentor, who told you that the demon's greatest weapon is not its power, but its ability to make you believe that you are alone. You close your eyes for a moment, and you find a quiet place in your mind, a place where the demon's whispers cannot reach. You focus on your faith, on the unwavering belief that God is with you, that you are not alone in this fight. Historians still debate the true nature of these conflicts. Was it a genuine spiritual combat? Or was it a form of intense psychological and physical stress that pushed the exorcists to their limits. What is undeniable is that for the exorcists of the Middle Ages, the ordeal was very real. They were fighting a battle that was as much physical as it was spiritual, a long, grueling process that tested their faith, their resolve, and their very sanity. The climax of the spiritual combat is a moment of profound spiritual and physical exertion. You must force the demon to retreat, to relinquish its hold on the soul of Brother Elias. You raise your voice, chanting the most powerful prayers from the Rituale Romanum, your voice a desperate, powerful plea to God. The demon responds with a final, violent thrashing. Brother Elias's body convulses, and a terrible guttural scream tears from his throat. The room is filled with a blast of cold, sulphurous air, and then, just as suddenly, it is over. The screaming stops. The thrashing ceases. Brother Elias's body goes limp. The silence that follows is deafening. You stand there, your body trembling with exhaustion, your mind reeling. You look at Brother Elias, and you can see a profound change in him. The malevolent presence is gone. The terror on his face has been replaced by a quiet, exhausted peace. The battle is won. But you know, with a grim certainty, that this is not the end. The demon may be gone, but the scars, both on Brother Elias and on you, will remain. The exorcism is over, but the misery of being an exorcist has just begun. The exorcism of Brother Elias is complete, but the misery of your profession is far from over. The real, slow-burning burden of an exorcist's life is not the terror of the rite itself, but the long, lonely, and often thankless aftermath. The physical toll of the exorcism is immediate and obvious. Your body is a wreck. The spiritual combat, as you now know, is as much a physical exertion as it is a mental one. You are bruised and battered, your muscles aching from the strain of resisting an unseen force, your throat raw from the hours of chanting. The exhaustion is a deep, bone-weary kind of fatigue that no amount of sleep can seem to fix. You feel as if you've been in a war, and in a way, you have. But the physical pain, you find, is easier to bear than the psychological toll. The demon's words, its whispers and lies, have taken root in your mind. It knows your deepest fears and your hidden doubts, and it used them against you with a chilling precision. You find yourself questioning everything you believe. Was it really a demon? Or was it a trick of the mind? Did God truly help you? Or were you alone in that room, fighting a battle that you couldn't possibly win on your own? The victory, which should have been a source of triumph, is instead a source of profound existential doubt. A little known fact about medieval exorcists is that they were often afflicted with a form of PTSD, or what we would now call it. They were expected to return to their normal lives after an exorcism, to go back to their parishes and their daily duties, as if nothing had happened. But they were changed men. They were haunted by the memory of the demons they had faced, by the lies they had heard, and by the profound, terrifying knowledge that evil was not an abstract concept but a living, breathing, malicious force. You can feel this new reality settling on your shoulders, a heavy, suffocating burden that you will carry with you for the rest of your life. Your misery is compounded by the bureaucracy of the church. The exorcism may be over, but the paperwork has just begun. The church, in its infinite wisdom, has a strict set of rules and regulations that must be followed after every rite. You must write a detailed report of the entire event, a dry, factual account of a spiritual battle that defied all description. You must record every prayer, every command, every response from the demon. You must write about the physical and mental state of the possessed. And you must get the testimony of the witnesses. This is not just a report, it is a confession, a record of your actions, a testament to your worthiness. You sit in a cold, quiet room, your hands trembling, and you try to write, but the words feel hollow. How can you describe the terror of the demon's voice on a piece of parchment? How can you capture the feeling of the cold, sulphurous air in a dry, factual report? You feel a profound sense of futility. You are a man who has just fought a spiritual war, and now you are being asked to fill out a form. It is a grim, heartbreaking reality, a stark reminder that your spiritual battle is also a bureaucratic one. Historians still debate whether this bureaucracy was a genuine attempt to control a dangerous phenomenon, or a way for the church to maintain its power over its priests. What is clear is that for the exorcists of the Middle Ages, this was a miserable, thankless task. They were a necessary evil, a tool of the church, but they were also a source of great suspicion. They were seen as men who had touched the darkness, and the church was always wary of men who were too close to the devil. The aftermath of the exorcism is not just about the possessed person, it is also about the exorcist himself. You are a man who has touched the darkness, and the darkness, you now know, has a long memory. The demon may be gone, but its whispers will remain. You will find yourself questioning everything, every shadow, every strange sound, every moment of doubt. You will be a haunted man, a ghost in your own life, a man who has seen the face of evil and will never be able to forget it. The misery of your profession is not just the act of exorcism, it is the long, quiet, and lonely life that follows. You are a spiritual warrior, a soldier of God, but you are also a broken man. The exorcism may be over, and the spiritual battle won, but the aftermath of your work is far from a victory lap. The physical toll of the long, grueling process is now painfully apparent. Your body feels like a ship battered by a storm. You are bruised and aching from the strain of resisting an unseen force. Your muscles screaming in protest with every movement. Your throat is raw and hoarse, a constant reminder of the hours you spent chanting. Your voice a weapon against a spiritual enemy. This exhaustion is not just a physical fatigue, it's a deep, bone-weary exhaustion that seems to have seeped into your very soul. You feel as if you've been in a war, and in a way, you have. But the physical pain, you find, is easier to bear than the psychological scars. The demon's words, its whispers and lies, have taken root in your mind. It knows your deepest fears and your hidden doubts, and it used them against you with a chilling precision. You find yourself questioning everything you believe. Was it really a demon? Or was it a trick of the mind? Did God truly help you? Or were you alone in that room, fighting a battle that you couldn't possibly win on your own? The victory, which should have been a source of triumph, is instead a source of profound, existential doubt. A little known fact about these rituals is that they were a form of immense psychological and physical stress. It wasn't uncommon for priests to emerge from a long exorcism bruised, battered, and utterly exhausted. The battle with the demon was a long, drawn-out affair, a war of attrition. You can feel your own strength waning. Your throat is raw from chanting. Your head pounds with a dull, persistent ache, and your hands, clutching the crucifix, are trembling with fatigue. The demon, on the other hand, seems to have an endless supply of energy. It is fueled by your fear and your doubt. Your misery is compounded by the bureaucracy of the church. The exorcism may be over, but the paperwork has just begun. The church, in its infinite wisdom, has a strict set of rules and regulations that must be followed after every rite. You must write a detailed report of the entire event, a dry, factual account of a spiritual battle that defied all description. You must record every prayer, every command, every response from the demon. You must write about the physical and mental state of the possessed, and you must get the testimony of the witnesses. This is not just a report, it is a confession, a record of your actions, a testament to your worthiness. You sit in a cold, quiet room, your hands trembling, and you try to write, but the words feel hollow. How can you describe the terror of the demon's voice on a piece of parchment? How can you capture the feeling of the cold, sulphurous air in a dry, factual report. You feel a profound sense of futility. You are a man who has just fought a spiritual war, and now you are being asked to fill out a form. It is a grim, heartbreaking reality, a stark reminder that your spiritual battle is also a bureaucratic one. Historians still debate whether this bureaucracy was a genuine attempt to control a dangerous phenomenon or a way for the church to maintain its power over its priests. What is clear is that for the exorcists of the Middle Ages, this was a miserable, thankless task. They were a necessary evil, a tool of the church, but they were also a source of great suspicion. They were seen as men who had touched the darkness, and the church was always wary of men who were too close to the devil. The aftermath of the exorcism is not just about the possessed person, it is also about the exorcist himself. You are a man who has touched the darkness, and the darkness, you now know, has a long memory. The demon may be gone, but its whispers will remain. You will find yourself questioning everything, every shadow, every strange sound, every moment of doubt. You will be a haunted man, a ghost in your own life, a man who has seen the face of evil and will never be able to forget it. The misery of your profession is not just the act of exorcism, it is the long and quiet and lonely life that follows. You are a spiritual warrior, a soldier of God, but you are also a broken man. The spiritual combat is over, but the work is not. As a medieval exorcist, you are not a triumphant hero but a cog in a vast, bureaucratic machine. Your misery, you now realize, is deeply rooted in the very institution you serve, the church. A formidable and often contradictory power is both your greatest ally and your most frustrating burden. The exorcism may have been a battle of wills between you and a demon, but the aftermath is a battle of paperwork and procedure. You are expected to return to your bishop and provide a full report, not just a verbal one, but a detailed, handwritten account of the entire event. This is not for a record of your heroism, but for a meticulously maintained file, a testament to the church's authority and control over the supernatural. You must record every prayer you uttered, every response the demon made, every physical manifestation you witnessed. You are asked to be a cold, objective witness to a terrifying, subjective experience. You sit in a quiet, sunlit room, a quill in your hand, and the words feel hollow. How do you describe the cold, sulphurous air in a dry, factual report? How do you capture the feeling of the demon's whispers, the way it twisted your memories and your doubts? You feel a profound sense of futility. You are a man who has just fought a spiritual war, and now you are being asked to fill out a form. A little known fact about these bureaucratic rules is that they were designed, in part, to prevent charlatanry. In a world with no scientific understanding of mental illness, many people would claim to be possessed for attention, power, or financial gain. The church's rigorous process of observation, documentation, and multiple witness testimonies was a way to weed out the frauds from the genuine cases. It was a miserable process for the exorcist, but it was a necessary one, a way to protect the integrity of the church and its rituals. This bureaucracy, however, is a double-edged sword. It protects the church, but it also isolates you. You are seen as a necessary evil, a man who has touched the darkness. The other priests, your peers, are wary of you. They look at you with a mix of awe and suspicion, as if a little bit of the darkness you fought has clung to you. You are no longer just a priest, you are the exorcist. It is the title that separates you from the rest, a mark that makes you an outsider in your own community. You are lonely in a way you have never been before, a man who has seen a world that no one else can understand. This isolation is a slow, quiet, and insidious kind of misery. You are expected to return to your daily duties, to hear confessions, to perform mass, to live a normal life. But your life is no longer normal. You are haunted by the demon's whispers. by the memory of the twisted body of Brother Elias. Every shadow, every strange sound, every moment of doubt is a potential sign of a new threat. You are a spiritual warrior, a soldier of God, but you are also a broken man. Historians still debate whether the Church's rigid rules and isolation of exorcists were a genuine attempt to protect its priests, or a way to control and marginalize a group of men who held a terrifying, and therefore suspicious, power. What is clear is that for the exorcists of the Middle Ages, this was a miserable, thankless task. They were a tool of the Church, but they were also a source of great suspicion. They were seen as men who had touched the darkness, and the Church was always wary of men who were too close to the devil. The job is a miserable one. You know that now, but you also know that it is a necessary one. A quiet, thankless service in a world that is full of unseen darkness. The exorcism may be a spiritual victory, but for you, the miserable life of an exorcist continues long after the demon has been cast out. The immediate relief is replaced by a slow, creeping realization of the profound and lasting impact the ordeal has had on both you and Brother Elias. The aftermath is a quiet, internal reckoning that never fully fades. Brother Elias, now free from the demon's grasp, is not the same man he was. The torment has left him a hollow shell. His eyes, once so kind, are now haunted by a deep, unspoken fear. He is a survivor, but the scars are visible on his soul. He has no memory of the possession. A mercy from God, you think, but the knowledge that his body and his soul were used as a battleground for a malevolent entity has left him with a profound sense of shame and unworthiness. He avoids eye contact. His body is rigid with a quiet, persistent tension, and he no longer speaks. The beautiful singing voice he was known for is now a silent memory. You look at him and you see a man who has been broken, and you know, with a grim certainty, that he will never be whole again. You too are a changed man. The demon's whispers, its lies and taunts, have taken root in your mind. You find yourself questioning everything. Was your faith strong enough? Was it truly you who cast out the demon? Or was it a trick you were haunted by the memory of the twisted body of Brother Elias, by the sound of the demon's voice, and by the profound, terrifying knowledge that evil is not an abstract concept but a living, breathing, malicious force? You are a man who has seen the face of evil, and you will never be able to forget it. A little known fact about these post-exorcism periods is that the Church would often require a period of observation. For both the possessed and the exorcist, they would be watched closely for any signs of relapse or any signs of lingering demonic influence. This was a necessary precaution. But for you, it feels like a form of imprisonment. You are a man under a microscope. Your every action, every word, every moment of doubt is being judged and scrutinized. You are not a hero. You are a test subject, a data point in a vast bureaucratic machine. The spiritual and physical exhaustion of the ordeal has also left you vulnerable. You are weak, both in body and in spirit, and you feel a profound sense of loneliness. You have fought a battle that no one else can understand. The other priests, your peers, look at you with a mix of awe and suspicion. They see a man who has touched the darkness, and they are afraid of you. You are an outsider in your own community, a ghost in your own life. The job of an exorcist is not just the act of exorcism, it is the long, quiet, and lonely life that follows. You are a spiritual warrior, a soldier of God, but you are also a broken man. Historians still debate whether the emotional and psychological toll of exorcism was a genuine part of the spiritual battle, or if it was a result of the extreme stress and trauma of the ordeal. What is clear is that for the exorcists of the Middle Ages, the aftermath of a successful exorcism was a long, lonely, and painful process. They were a necessary evil, a tool of the Church, but they were also a source of great suspicion. They were seen as men who had touched the darkness, and the Church was always wary of men who were too close to the devil. The job is a miserable one. You know that now, but you also know that it is a necessary one, a quiet, thankless service in a world that is full of unseen darkness. The exorcism of Brother Elias is a distant memory now, one of a growing number of cases in your miserable, thankless career. The physical bruises have healed, and the bureaucratic reports have been filed and forgotten. But the true, lingering misery of being a medieval exorcist is the quiet, solitary life you are now condemned to live. You are a man who has walked in the shadows, and you can never truly return to the light. Your existence is a lonely one, a path forged by a grim necessity and paved with the scars of past battles. You are no longer a simple parish priest. The word has spread. You are the exorcist. People look at you with a mix of fear and awe. They cross themselves when you pass, whispering prayers under their breath. Mothers pull their children closer, as if a bit of the darkness you fought has clung to you. You are a man set apart, an outsider in your own community. You are not a hero, you are a ghost, a living testament to a world of unseen evil that no one else can understand. You attend church services, you hear confessions, you go through the motions of a normal life, but it feels like a performance. You are an actor in a play, and the audience, you feel, is always watching, always judging. The loneliness is a heavy, suffocating blanket. You have no one to talk to about what you have seen. The other priests, your peers, are wary of you. They are not malicious, just afraid. They have no frame of reference for the things you have witnessed: the twisted bodies, the inhuman voices, the cold sulphurous air. They cannot understand the profound, existential doubt that now gnaws at you. Was it really a demon? Or was it a trick of the mind? Was it God's power that saved the soul? Or was it a cosmic fluke? These are questions that you must bear alone, a solitary, internal reckoning that will never end. You are a man who has seen a world that no one else can understand, and you are condemned to a life of silence. A fascinating and often overlooked detail about the medieval exorcist's life is that they rarely held a permanent parish. They were itinerant, travelling from place to place, from one desperate call to the next. This constant movement prevented them from forming deep bonds with any one community. You are a man with no home, no family, no roots. Your life is a series of lonely journeys, a perpetual pilgrimage of misery. You are a spiritual wanderer, a man who lives on the fringes of society, a necessary tool of the church, but also an outcast. You are not a hero, you are a service. Historians still debate the psychological toll of this itinerant lifestyle. Was it a deliberate policy by the church to keep these dangerous men from gaining too much power? Or was it a practical necessity, given the nature of their work? What is clear is that for you, a medieval exorcist, this is a life of profound loneliness. You are a man without a home, a man without a family, a man without a community. You are a man who has chosen to fight a spiritual war, and you are paying the price, not just with your body and your soul, but with your life. The misery of your profession is not just the act of exorcism, it is the long, quiet, and lonely life that follows. You are a spiritual warrior, a soldier of God, but you are also a broken man, and this is a true ending. Time slows down, the scene fades, the final image of you, a lone figure on the road, blends into the darkness, your cloak fluttering in the wind. Now, all that remains is my voice, gentle and calm, blending with the night air. You can feel sleep coming, the warmth of the blanket, the softness of the pillow beneath your head. The nightmare is over, and the battles have ended, although the pain of the past remains. It is only a memory, a story that has been told. This world has come a long way, through fear and darkness, and it has survived. Now, you can sleep well too. The ghosts of the past, the cries of the dead, the fears of the survivors, they all vanish. There is nothing left to fear. Only peace, silence and darkness. Take a deep breath and close your eyes. Let go of all worries, all tension, all thoughts. Just feel the warmth of your bed and let yourself drift away. Good night.